Hi, I'm Ina, certified business and life coach, founder of Thrive with Ina podcast, and a columnist for Intentional Living magazine. There's always room for improvement in your current situation, whether it's life, business, or relationships. I help women around the world to get equipped with the exact tools that are needed to propel to the next level. On this podcast, you can learn all the encouraging stories of incredible entrepreneurs, their hardships, and the exact tools to achieve success. You can also search for mindful meditation episodes that can help you get grounded in the chaos of life and business. You can get full access to my coaching platform and this podcast on www.thrivewithina.com. And now, tune into a new episode of Thrive with Ina podcast, and happy listening. Hey everyone, what a wonderful year it's been, and I am so excited to be back on Thrive with Ina podcast. I have been waiting to say hello to all of you who have been listening to this podcast and been wondering, when is it coming back? What's going on? And I'm so excited to finally be back on this podcast. My spin instructor the other day told me it's okay to take time off if you need it. And she only was saying it because she's taking 30 days off, and I almost had a panic attack. I was like, how? How? I come here for you. Why, how dare you take 30 days off and just tell me about it now? It's okay to take time off. And I could not believe she said that on the same day when I decided to announce that and there's no better person to help me relaunch this podcast than my dearest friend, Andrea of Panier Cadeau. And I do not speak French in the slightest, and I always want to pronounce that in the most poetic way. And I hope I do it right every time I say it. Welcome, Andrea. I've missed you so much. I am wanting to interview you again on this podcast, and I'm super excited to have you.
I am so happy to be back with you. Like this, I'm excited. I loved our first conversation and I'm so excited for today. And congrats on relaunching.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. I think it's been about 6 months since my last interview, and I had so much going on, as most of you know. I just recently got married and just had to have three weddings. And I just had three yoga retreats, and they were all absolutely amazing. And so I'm very excited to relaunch the podcast with a little bit more of a relaxed, conversational style and vibe, as we were just chatting before we started recording.
Mhm.
So, I'm really happy to have you back here, and I'm really excited to learn all about what's been going on with Panier Cadeau and you personally. We've talked a lot about growth, and I want to continue this conversation, but from your perspective, you, what has Andrea 2025 learned, and what is she taking into 2026?
Wow. Yeah, a lot has happened since we spoke. The business has definitely grown, but I think the biggest growth has been for me internally. And I always say the best way to really be able to gauge growth as a person is like start a business.
Yeah,
And I think it forces you to grow, right?
yeah,
So it's like, am I growing? Is the business growing? Is it the other way around? So I've learned so much about myself, and you kind of go through a process where you have to trust yourself. Because now when you start a business, you tend to compare yourself to other business owners and their progress. And, am I doing enough? And I feel like it's very important to remind yourself of your why. So that we were talking earlier about imposter syndrome.
yeah,
That's I think that's so prevalent in a lot of business owners' minds and worlds, like this is how we feel. And definitely I've experienced that and I still do. And I don't know that it's something that ever goes away because as you scale,
yeah,
there's different levels of it. So yeah, so to answer your question, my biggest growth has been internally, mindset, which also has probably been, and we can talk about it later, but my one of my biggest challenges has been mindset. not logistics or anything that you might think.
Right.
It's all internal.
Yeah. I think entrepreneurship teaches so many lessons because you are your business. We're not talking about running a corporation that has, a 300 people roster of staff and investors and whatnot. Small business and entrepreneurship generally is just so different from that.
Yeah.
You are your own business. You rely on your own mindset. You rely on your own tools. You wear
Hmm.
different hats, and it's just so different from that large corporate environment where if you're not growing, your business isn't either.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not a factory over here. It's me, and I think that really allows you to reach deeper too, because you have to get everything done, and there's deadlines, and I think that it can it can be useful because it really does force you to grow. But then it's also helpful when you have a support system.
Of
So
course.
if you have a team, that's helpful. So I can say like there's definitely pros and cons to being a solo entrepreneur.
Of course.
And I really am enjoying it. As much as it is challenging, I really am enjoying because I can see and I can feel my own growth. And I think that also translates to the gifts I create because I understand the emotional impact as well.
Hmm.
So I mean, gifting is one of those things for me, at least. It's deeply emotional. It's not just about, and you know this, you know enough about me and my company to know it's not just about giving items. It
Yeah.
really is to make people feel seen, just the emotional impact behind it. So that is definitely something that I hope to hold on to as I scale, and that in itself can be challenging
Of course.
because yeah, as you scale tend to, well, you can, if you're not careful, lose that personal touch. So it's something I constantly think about.
Yeah. The quality does suffer in a lot of ways if you
Hmm.
scale too fast. And I see that in many entrepreneurs when I coach or observing different companies that I follow, how growth affects them. How is it impacting the quality of services and products that are delivered? And when you are a solopreneur, you have the ability to be more mindful, more
Hmm.
intentional with that quality, right? Instead of
Exactly.
just chasing that bottom line um, and experiencing burnout in your team, you're only external experiencing burnout, but you also have that vision to work with it,
Yeah.
to experience internal growth, to help yourself with that burnout, and therefore, so your quality of the products and services doesn't suffer. So, for those who have not watched your first interview on Thrive with Ina podcast, let's remind everyone what Panier Cadeau does and stand for.
Okay. So Panier Cadeau is a concierge gifting company, and we focus on intentional gifting for busy individuals and professionals. And I stress busy because that's definitely the way the world is right now. Everything is so fast paced, and giving an intentional gift allows you to slow down and savor those moments. So that's definitely where we come in. And it's, like I said, concierge, white glove, and intentional.
Amazing. Love it. I love the way you present the gifts. I love the way you put so much thought, effort, and care into really delivering the message rather than objects and items. It's absolutely amazing. And I think there's so much power in the intentionality and mindfulness within your gifts.
Hmm.
I absolutely love the way you position and structure yourself in the market. So tell us a little bit about gifting during the holidays. I know this is a busy season for you,
Yeah,
and how do you prevent the quality from withering away when it's such a busy season for you? When
yeah.
you have to make so many orders, fulfill so many orders, deliver so many orders, like how do you stay intentional with creating those intentional gifts?
Yeah. So I find the history of gifting really fascinating. Long before retail and holidays, before the word gift even existed, humans have given things. They've given things as a way of building connection and safety and community. And that's something that specifically during the holidays, I try to remember. The emotional part of gifting and what I remind my clients of. So it starts with the intention. Why are you giving this gift, to the recipient? And from there, do you want them to feel cared for? Do you want them to feel loved? Do you want them to feel safe? And when you start there, the gift creates itself, I feel. So during the holidays, especially because it's such a magical time, and I I plan my gifts for as best I can for especially for corporate clients. And I'll tell you why I love doing corporate gifts, because we live in such a digital time and fast paced, and people are going from meetings and Zoom calls and just basically rushing and racing from here to there. And you know it can get transactional and you lose the meaning. So I actually really love creating corporate gifts because there's that surprise and delight element when you receive a gift in a setting, like a corporate setting, where there's a wax seal and it smells, the scent of the gift hits you when you open it. It really does invite you to slow down. And, it creates that meaningful moment. And people do feel seen and not just like an employee number.
Yeah. When you mentioned the smell, I all of a sudden remembered the candle that you had in my gift basket, the one you delivered to me a couple months ago. It was absolutely the best candle I've ever had, and I can't, I can't forget the scent. It's just so
Yeah.
magical. It really does. Like every time I see your baskets, I'm like, and it's what's in the basket, what can like the either it's the tea or the candle or whatever else. One thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the retreats that I just hosted, for those of you who don't follow me on my retreat account, you didn't see that Andrea sponsored all the goodie bags for my current retreat or recent retreat to Costa Rica, which was an absolute hit. Everybody loved the totes and the quality of them, and they really kind of worked well with that environment of being in the blue zone because it was a recyclable material, and the way that bags actually supported my students during the retreat was absolutely amazing. And the matches came in handy because we used a lot of Palo Santo in our workshops,
Yeah.
so that really was a nice touch, and I'm very grateful for your sponsorship for the retreat. It was just wonderful.
You're welcome. I was really happy to do it, and I know all the intention you put into everything you do. And I wasn't able to attend your retreat, but I was there in spirit, and I was happy that I could contribute in even just the smallest way.
Yeah, it was what seems small to you maybe was huge to us because all of the retreat participants were absolutely touched with the goodie bags and they loved every minute of it and they used them and they still use them. Some still send me pictures when they've gotten home and they're going grocery shopping or what we're going to the gym and they're like, oh look, I'm repping. So
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. And I saw your pictures, and the retreat just looked magical and amazing. And really, like, I wish I was there in person. Maybe the
next
next
time
one.
we'll get you away from your business and you come on the retreat
Yeah.
with us. Yeah.
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
because that's, 1 week away from all of the responsibilities of life and business and whatever else is going on. I
Yeah.
find it the most propelling for growth. the growth that happens in those 7 days for myself and for all the retreat participants, it's life changing. So I think that's
Yeah.
why I really do those retreats, because it's nice to see
Yeah.
those experiences and nice to be in those experiences because everyone learns so much from each other and for themselves. It's amazing. But
Yeah.
enough about me. Let's talk about you and your business. Tell me, back to my question, what do you see taking into 2026 from what you've learned? What do you envision as Panier Cadeau and Andrea being in 2026?
Well, I feel like I'm going to keep repeating myself, but it's so important to me to never lose the intentionality behind everything I do. AI is so prominent in our society, and it's useful. It's really been a game changer for a lot of businesses, but specifically with what I do and just keeping that human connection. It's important for me to really work on ways to scale the business, not just, as I was saying to you earlier, not just a metric, but just to remind people that we do live in a world where human connection is valuable. So, where I see the future of Panier Cadeau, I can see this brand becoming a global symbol.
Ooh, get
So,
goosebumps.
sorry?
I get goosebumps.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a pipe dream, as they would say, for it to become a global movement, not just because luxury without intention and feeling, uh, it's just items in a box, right? But there's a ripple effect. And I'm not sure if we had spoken about this before, but there's the giver's glow. When you give a gift and there's the dopamine and serotonin surge, you soften up, your shoulders relax, and there's that connection between the giver and the recipient, and you feel you have giver's glow. Just giving something thoughtful and meaningful to someone else, then there's their end of it where the appreciation is just phenomenal. So yeah, so I definitely see Panier Cadeau as a global brand working with international partners. I actually do have something big coming next year that I won't talk about right now, but it does involve international partners. And I'll give you a little hint. Panier Cadeau, the name itself is French. So that's just a little hint of what's to come next year. Yeah.
I can't, you know what? I love guessing games so much.
You love what?
Guessing games.
Yeah.
It drives my husband crazy when I come up with something that I want him to know and I make him guess. And he's like, I really want to. There's no way. There's no way I can get. There's no way.
I give up. I
He's
give
like,
up.
he's like, I'm like, 3 tries. You get 3 tries. He's like, I don't even have one. What do you want me to say? I'm like,
Yeah.
but I want you to guess. So when someone gives me a like a sneak peek or a secret they want to keep, I cannot keep a secret. So how can you keep a secret? It's gotta be hard.
Yeah. Well, if it's any consolation, we're just a few short months away from 2026. So you're not going to have to wait that long. Um,
And
yeah. So,
I
but it's
just know
very
I can guess, but I'm not gonna say it out loud.
I'm very excited. You know, my mission is simple, and it's really to bring softness and slowness to life. And I feel the French have got that really covered, in terms of like slowing down and really just this elevated approach to life. Like it can be simple, but it still feels intentional and thoughtful,
Luxurious.
which I think is slowly becoming a motto because I keep saying intentional and thoughtful. But that really is my mission, for people to feel connected and slow down and remember their humanity. Because, as I said before, life can get transactional. So, and when you think, I mean, I really am fascinated by the history of gifting. Like I said, it's really been around for so long. And I had mentioned this on another podcast interview, but the gifts given to, like, one of my favorite stories of gifting is one of the oldest stories of gifting, and that's the gifts that baby Jesus received. And when you think about it, how useful were those gifts to a baby? You know, they weren't toys or, a stuffed animal, but they were symbolic. And when you think about just the idea of three wise men conveying this message that baby Jesus was seen by them before the rest of the world, the symbolism of those gifts, and even even with royalty, there's times that people gave gifted territories
Yeah.
for alliances. And like I said, this is before gifting was even a thing, was even a word, before we even have had language for it. So it's really just the meaning. And I would like for Panier Cadeau to be known globally, really, as a company that, in this fast moving world, a company that brings back the slow and the meaning of life and connection and friends and friendship and community.
That I love it. I can relate and identify with your company motto and intention so much. I love gifting gifts, I would say,
Mhm.
are very challenging for me to accept always. I don't know why. I haven't really done much psychoanalyzing of that aspect. I love gifting, always did. But accepting gifts, very
Mhm.
challenging. But I can see what you're saying that giving gifts is just such a
Mhm.
great connection. On one of the first nights of retreats that I just hosted, one of the participants asked me to come to her room, and in my mind, I was like, "Oh my God, she has an issue. There's going to be a problem, or she's not comfortable, or like there's going to be something happening." And when we got to her room, she's like, "Oh no, don't worry. To give you a gift." And it was so touching to me that she included me. She was giving gifts to a group of other participants that were her friends, and then she wanted to include me into the gift giving ceremony, and she made little things for her hands, like little pouches that we can hold our things in, and she was giving it to all of us, saying how um, the entire experience. We were there for like one day, and we already surpassed her expectations, and she was so happy. And she literally made those things specifically for us, and it was such
Nice.
a nice moment. Um, it was so emotional for all of us, but for her especially because she gave a part of herself, her intention was. So I can absolutely see how you would.
So you were saying you're uncomfortable receiving, but you
Yes,
love to give.
yes, always been like
Yeah.
that.
But there are two sides of the same coin, right? Giving and receiving.
Yes,
And it is a gift to the other person to receive gracefully and graciously.
yes,
Yeah, I think we all have things to work on, because I own a gifting company, and really this is my motto, and I have had to work through that as well. And I think it has a lot of culture wrapped up in it as well. So our influences, I say very often that the way we see the world and the way we experience life comes from our frame of reference. And that can be where you're from, where you were born, the way you were raised, in your family environment, and then the society you were raised in, your religion, all these things. So I've definitely really come a far way and able to accept now and receive, even not just gifts, just even compliments.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Compliments also a gift. It's a
Yeah.
it's an intangible gift. It's, I'm okay with compliments now. I think I used to be a lot more okay with compliments. I don't always give them, but the gifts, I guess for some of us, obviously, when you were saying that comes from your culture or kind of different. When I was growing up, my family was extremely poor. I am from There was just no food, no items. And no salaries because we were just working for air.
Yeah.
And my parents were very, very poor. They had very serious government. Needless to say, they couldn't afford gifts. And
Yeah.
so as they started to be able to afford something again, they wanted to give us gifts all the time. And then my sister would receive a Barbie because she was younger, and I would receive an encyclopedia. And what 8-year-old wants to receive an encyclopedia for Christmas?
Right.
Please, somebody tell me. And every time I would receive a gift, and it was like once a year or twice a year, only on big holidays, we didn't really get gifts because, like I said, we were very, very poor. I would receive a goddamn encyclopedia every Christmas. I would write Santa letters, be like, can I please, please, please get a dollhouse? Or
Hmm.
can I please, please, please get this? I've been so good in school. And then every goddamn Christmas, I would receive an encyclopedia. But like they were intentionally making me collect encyclopedias, so every year I would get another edition.
I was about to say you had the collection.
One year would be Cosmos, one year would be Bio, one year would be, I don't know, animals and whatever. And so every year I'd be like dreading the holidays because I knew
Yeah.
they were not fooling me.
Yeah.
After consecutive years I was getting that, I was like, no more encyclopedias, please. And I had a giant bookcase where there was a lot of books, and I value and appreciate books now as an adult. I have a really large library, but as an 8 and 9 and 10-year-old who was begging for a dollhouse, was like, please, no more books. And they weren't fun either. They were just I couldn't read them, you know.
Yeah.
So I think my accepting of gifts may be stemming just a slightly bit from childhood
Yeah,
trauma.
trauma. I don't know. It's interesting because I'd love to know what your parents were thinking, like what they saw in you that they were nurturing with these encyclopedias, because that's interesting. Like, have you ever asked them?
No, but it was funny when I moved to America and my mom was going through my things, and I was an adult already. I was like 19 or 20 at that time. She called me in FaceTime and she's hysterically crying, and I was like, what happened? Are you okay? She's like, I'm fine. I just found your Santa letter. I was like, what letter? She's like, the one you wrote to him asking for a dollhouse, and we still gave you an encyclopedia. She was distraught. She was like, I'm so sorry. It was so funny that she was like, I cannot believe we did not hear your request and just kept on giving what we thought was best.
Have the gifts gotten better with age?
Yes. We don't do gift exchanges anymore. We exchange experiences now as a family. And I've introduced that tradition to the family a few years ago. We exchange experiences. So, like, let's say, my parents would take us all to see a show on Broadway, or I would get tickets for us all to go see the Christmas train show at the Botanical Gardens. So, like,
Oh,
we
that's
do
really nice.
thoughtful things that we could do together. So, it brings us closer together as a family.
Yeah. Which actually is also very important to me in gifting. I mean, my gifts are tangible, but I also want the recipient to have that experiential feeling. So when you unwrap the gift, well, first it looks pretty, there's beauty in what you've received, and then there's sense and there's touch, and most times there's an element of fire in the gifts. You received a candle that you still remember. uh, yeah, so um those are all sensory anchors. So it really does help you it not only strengthens the bond between the two people, but it really helps to keep you top of mind, which is important in business environments as well. You want to be remembered, so there's both aspects of it. But I think that's hilarious that your parents give you encyclopedias. And I always say a good gift is not about the price, but it's the feeling, and it's knowing that someone has paid attention. Clearly they weren't paying attention, but I mean, it sounds like there was a lot happening economically. And so we can't hold it against them.
We can. Because my sister was getting Barbies.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? You remember those gifts though.
I
So
sure do. I
yeah.
probably have them somewhere in my library too. I just blocked it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, books culturally are very, very important where I come from because knowledge is of the utmost value in the culture of Eastern Europe, and it shows through and through in every niche of life, whether it's education, medical fields, or whatever. Knowledge is number one acquisition as an individual. So that's where I guess they were coming from with the
Knowledge is power, right? But books are now becoming extinct. And
I
it's
hope
sad. Everything feels a lot of it feels digital right now.
yeah.
I still like to hold books and read, and I
Do you
can't. I'm not one of
integrate
those people.
your gifting?
Sorry?
Do you integrate books into your gifting?
I integrate a lot of books
Okay.
into thing. I love coffee table books. I think you can just get lost in the whole idea of, like flipping through the books and reading, if it's a recipe book, recipes, and just imagining what it would taste like and cooking it if you like to cook, and holding a mug. And I have a lot of those for the holidays. So yes, I definitely incorporate books because I think books also work as an anchor, like to anchor the soul. And yeah, so for sure, love books. They're in they're in a lot of my gifts.
That you are holding that tradition of gifting and integrating books and
Hmm.
although objects are tangible, still feels like there's an intangible experience with an
Mhm.
old
Yeah.
just
Yeah. No, for sure, because I would like my gifts to feel poetic. You know, a little bit of poetry, a little bit of romance in some way, even if it is a corporate gift. Like I was saying earlier, the wax seal, there's nothing more poetic than just opening a card that was sealed. It's just, it takes a lot of time. And I say that not as a complaint, but just as a reminder of what goes into it. And I just, for me to be able to facilitate this, just to be a vessel, like a bridge between two within the relationship, is it's just meaningful to me. So that also, now that I think about it, also helps to accelerate my growth as a person. Just being that small part, playing that small role in that relationship between two people.
so
Just me creating these gifts and learning about the intention behind the giver's intention, and then learning about the recipient. I love learning about people and those personal gifts. And there are times when I a lot of times where I research the recipient, if I can, if it's public figure or a semi public figure and I have access to social media, I will, and you look for the most obscure thing that you can find, because those are usually the things that tend to stand out when a person opens a gift. Like, how did they know this about me? And there's a lot of meaning there. So it really is, the whole process for me feels poetic.
I did not know that. See, learn something new every day, and I love learning new things about you because you're like I was gonna say Pandora's box, but my ESL may prevent me
Yeah.
from relaying the positivity because I don't know if
Well,
Pandora's
it's,
box
I know what you mean. It's a little bit of a
is
treasure box.
treasure box,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like you never know which bit of information you're gonna learn about Andrea. I love all the things that you bring into your business, and I love how you show up as a person as well, and how much you care about how your gifts affect the recipients, which we were talking about before. For those of you who didn't hear our conversation before we went live, which is all of you, haha, we were talking about how
No one?
important it is to Andrea that when people receive her gifts, to feel the intention behind it, to feel and understand how much thought went into it. And I adore that about your gifting services, which is why every time there's a milestone or a baby's born or someone's getting married or something like that, I feel like absolutely compelled to having no other gift other than Panier Cadeau making a gift for them.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, well, a gift without emotion is just packaging, right? So, yeah, and I mean, I have curated gifts, like ready to ship gifts, and even when I create those, I sit and I think about like what would I be feeling if I, just had my first baby and life was one way before becoming a mother and now I'm a mom. What would I need? What would I want to feel? And so even those ready to ship gifts has some element of, well, not some, a lot of meaning and intention and emotion in those as well. So I can curate a gift, a gift for you based on what you want to convey to the recipient, but then sometimes people just want something quick. They don't have a week or two to wait for delivery. So that's why I've created ready to ship gifts, but I still want those to feel like someone has put intention into it. And then how can I ever know that? It's by placing myself in that position and think what would a new mom or new parents want to feel? How could we celebrate them?
I love that. That's very special. This business is getting more and more special every time I talk to you.
Well, it is.
I love it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and learning some, interesting tidbits about what goes behind it instead of being like, so what is your day-to-day business like? What do you start the day with? Or like, how do you accept orders? Like, that's very important. The assembly line or whatever that goes into making those gifts is important. But I think having conversations like these where our listeners can learn the little pieces of information that they may not have thought about,
Hmm.
like you researching your recipient and finding something very important to them without even them knowing that and being like, wow, she really knew me before even knowing me.
Yeah, you have to kind of look past the obvious too, right? And that's what makes it special. So that's definitely what I try to do.
I love that. Well, Andrea, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank
So
you
much fun.
for indulging me and answering all the questions and having this conversation with me. How can our listeners support you in this holiday season?
Well, there's three ways to work with me in general, not just at the holidays. So we have our website, paniercadeau.com, where you have all the curated, ready to ship gifts for last minute shoppers. And there's custom gifting. So which I feel I've been doing a lot lately because the more recognized the brand becomes, the more people are interested in the custom gifts and the storytelling behind it. And the other thing is our year of gifting subscription, and I'm actually working on not calling it a subscription anymore because I don't feel like it sounds very luxurious. But it's a full year of gifting. You have all your gifts planned for an entire year. You can do 12 gifts a year. I have real estate agents that I work with who do multiple gifts a month. So from 5 gifts to 10 gifts a month, and they it's done for you, it's taken care of. Like they never have to think at closing, what am I going to give my clients? So yes, so it's really to eliminate the stress. I've actually had one realtor tell me he would always stress over like what to give clients and end up giving them a bottle of champagne or a bottle of wine, and it just doesn't feel like a lot of thought was put into it.
Yeah.
So, and then after the whole process of home buying, it's a nice celebratory thing, but it just doesn't have that extra meaning behind it. So
Yeah.
I curate all his closing gifts now, and it's phenomenal because he just tells me when his closing is, and it's done, and he never has to think about it. But that goes for most of or all of my corporate clients too. Just there's other things people want to think about.
Yeah.
They want to send an intentional gift, but they're busy and they don't have time, or they don't want to sit and create. Not everyone enjoys it.
Yeah.
So the year of gifting is actually really, really helpful because I think one of the most valuable aspects that I found with my clients, one of the most valuable aspects to the year of gifting is you see your spend at the beginning rather than at the end of the year. So like you know exactly what your budget is going to be from the start. This is how much I spend every month on gifting, and this is what it'll be for the entire year. So it just takes that extra planning that they probably have to do, or retracing steps at the end of the year. Yeah, so
But yeah,
that's yeah, I really enjoy that aspect. But you know what? I say that for every aspect of my business.
I know. And I love that about you. You're very excited about literally every moment of your business.
I am, and I feel like it's a gift to me that people have me source their gifts because I'm having fun. It feels a little selfish sometimes too. Like I'm having so much fun doing this.
And that's important. I think it's a great reminder for a lot of entrepreneurs who may feel the burnout, especially those who have been in business for quite some time.
Hmm.
You know, burnout is real when you're a solopreneur or a small business.
Hmm.
And listening to you and hearing how excited you are about creating
Yeah.
gifts and being in the center of your own business is very
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah, it's tough economic times and it can be daunting for entrepreneurs. And I have to tell you, the back end work, like the numbers, I don't necessarily enjoy the business side of it, but I do enjoy creating. So I feel like that helps to balance it. The parts that I don't necessarily enjoy, the technical side, and I and even the sales, let's be honest. As entrepreneurs, we know that you don't want to sound too salesy, as they say, but getting to know people and creating gifts and just helping to facilitate that connection, that's what I enjoy the most. And sourcing products. And I work with a lot of woman founded businesses and women run businesses. So I just I'm intentional with where I source products as well and how everything works together. The parts that I do enjoy really helps me to get through the parts that I don't enjoy so much.
Balance with everything, right?
Balance. Mhm. It was
Well,
so much fun, Ina. Thank you.
thank you so much. This was really wonderful. I'm glad we got to chat, and I've missed you personally, and I missed you on the podcast. So I'm glad we
I
got to
miss you too. I'm so happy that I was a part of your New York based wedding. I know you've had three, so yeah, that was so much fun. And congrats again to you and Ian
thank you so
and the
much.
puppies.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what Panier Cadeau has in store for us. We'll be privately texting you with my guesses.
I can't wait. Let's see how you have three guesses.
Okay, fine, fine. I'll settle. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and until we speak again.